Hello everyone and welcome back to a new episode with MTG Josh. Today we will be looking at a mono blue Thassa Deep Dwelling deck. And she's the indestructible god from Thassa Beyond Death if you've not seen her. And as usual, her devotion to blue, if it's less than 5, she isn't a creature. So you need to get out lots of blue pips to make her into a 6/5 indestructible. But the main attraction to the general is beginning of your end step, exile up to one other creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under your control. So it's a really nice way to build a flicker deck. So all the creatures in this deck will have ETB abilities. So Simulacrum is a classic, comes in you get a land, when it dies you draw a card. And you've got high-end stuff like Meter Golem, when it comes in destroy non-permanent. And even Scholar of the Lost Trove, which is like a souped-up Torrential Gearhulk. When it comes in you can cast an instant sorcery or artifact from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. Imagine flickering any of these already, really powerful. If you're making a Thassa deck, you're definitely going to want a Panamonicon, which is a 4-mana artifact, which says if an artifact or creature entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, it happens an additional time. So yeah, this is a must-have if you're making a Thassa deck. The deck is also unique in the fact that there's no counter magic in the deck at all, so it's kind of like a tap-out blue deck, which is a bit unorthodox, but I felt like making something a little bit different, and I hope people out there who don't like the counter magic interplay within games, then maybe you can enjoy this style of deck. The deck list will be in the description below, and I've included, I've started to include the Moxfield deck lists as well, so you can just export the list on mobile and then put it into your mobile version of Arena, which could be easier for a lot of people. But yeah, don't forget to hit me up with a like and subscribe if you like to see more videos like this one. Let's get into some games then. Okay, so we go first against Riel the Everwise. Is it Spells Matter deck? They're going to have a lot of discard spells in order to draw cards back. So she's a really potent general in that she's kind of a one-man army. Once you are in the late game and you've got lots of instants and sorceries in the graveyard, she's going to be a humongous threat. One-hit kill most of the time. And any card they use to discard something will also earn them a card back. So she's a crazy recursion engine, but don't forget that it's just the first time you do it each turn. So if you keep wheeling over and over again, you're not going to gain multiple bonuses just the first time. But yeah, she's pretty cool. Here comes an Arcane Signet. So we could actually exile the Arcane Signet, but I think this would be better to save it for their general. So now we can just go for the Cemetery Illuminator and exile the land in the graveyard. Now, if the Cemetery Illuminator sticks around, it would be really good because we can exile instants and sorceries from the graveyard. Do they have a Lightning Bolt? Faithless Looting. Okay, so we can actually exile that from the graveyard, which is going to be really effective here. But however, they will be drawing a lot of cards, so they've already got a heck of a lot of advantage from Riel. So we're definitely going to swing in. And we'll get rid of the Faithless Looting so we stop them going off with that one more time. So now our sorceries cost 1 less. We could just go for the Thassa here, just to gain some really powerful advantage versus Riel. So it will make our spells cost a bit more, but it's all good. Now we can exile Magma Opus so they can't cheat that out of the graveyard. And we're looking pretty good actually. Cemetery Illuminator is possibly one of the best cards we could have drawn versus Riel here. Just through the the mitigation of their synergies. Cold Steel Heart, so they're going to ramp a bit more. I do wonder if they have some kind of Lightning Bolt effect or maybe a counter spell with 2 blue up. So because I've got mana up, I think all I'm going to do is just attack here. And Shock Typhoon is our only choice, so we will exile that. We do have Depths of Desire as a way to try and bounce Riel, so let's just wait. I guess we can test the waters by going for Solemn. If they counter it, it's not the end of the world. We still have the Cemetery Illuminator to exile the counter spell from the graveyard. So this is like a baiting spell here. Boon of the Wish Giver, interesting. So discard 1, draw 2, pretty crazy. Do they have some kind of annul? Or a way to... Fading Hope, interesting, okay. So we are going to be able to ramp a couple of times. I think the timing of the Fading Hope was kind of bad. What they should have done is done it in response to me targeting with Thassa, because I wouldn't have had any value that turn. But instead I'm getting to flicker my Solemn anyway. So yeah, they should have held off playing the Fading Hope there. Niv Mizzet. Now this, in normal circumstances, would be an issue. However, we do have the Ugin here, and we can just get rid. And they don't gain any advantage. And we can also attack. And we can even ramp with Thassa. So that was a really nice turn, getting rid of their, probably one of the best cards in their deck. If they attack Ugin, it's likely that we block, but it will be sad to lose our Solemn just because it gets us a land a turn. But we at least draw a card for Solemn as well. Don't forget that Ugin also discounts any colourless spells in your hand by 2, so any mana rocks we get would be a bit cheaper. Here comes Brawl to make things a bit harder for us. So I think the first thing we should do is look at the, well, create a 2/2 using Ugin here. That'll be a nice blocker.
Secrets manifest before you.
7 mana open. Let's see if we can bubble snare the Riel here. We could potentially eke out a counter spell. Okay, they don't seem that bothered about that. We have 7 mana open, so we could EOT Dream Eater. Let's see if we can exile the Brawl here, because that is quite an annoying creature, to be honest. Them being able to loot all the time is quite frustrating. I do wonder if they're trying to counter the Illuminator. So let's see if it gets a counter out. If they don't, then we're going to resolve a really, really powerful card, but feels like they do. Here comes the neutralize, so they were very patient there. So we won't flicker the 2/2 just yet. So although Riel is paralysed, she will still give them the trigger whenever they discard. Not much we can do about them attacking in the air, but at least Ugin still survives this. So we might as well uptick. So, more islands. I guess we can attack with the 2/2. And we have 6, 7, 8. So we can still go for the Confounding Conundrum. Not going to be very effective against them, but it's just a cantrip ultimately. Merfolk Trickster could be nice. It's got Flash, 5, 6, 7. So yeah, we might as well just pass the turn here. No need to flicker, we have a land to play next turn anyway. So what would happen here, if you flickered the Spirit, it would just go back to your hand. So into the Royal, interesting. Bouncing it to our hand. And they draw a card. Yeah, I think that's fine. Keep it in our hand. And yeah, we'll continue to pass a turn. They've still got 3 mana up. Lear comes down, giving their spells flashback. So if that comes down, they're going to have access to Fading Hope and into the Royal. So they could bounce Ugin, but that would take up their whole turn. So let's just see what they actually choose to do here. Spells can't be counted though, so This is interesting. It does mean we can now resolve whatever we want, so in a way, keeping Lear on the battlefield is actually good. So let's flash in a Dream Eater. Not sure what else they could do. They can bounce off with Fading Hope, I guess. If they do it before my trigger, okay, that's cool. So these are some really powerful cards. I think we'll put the Mystic Subdual on the bottom. And happy to go for Portal. Oh, actually, if we go for Glint Nest, we actually get the Portal. So yeah, let's do it in that order. And then we can bounce the bird. So, oddly enough, because they resolved a Lear, this actually makes it a lot easier for us to do things. Okay, so that comes back. So we're going to get another trigger. That is interesting. So we'll play a land here. Go for the Thassa. And go for the Glint Nest Crane, because we kind of want the Portal in our hand here. And if we resolve the... So this has every instant and sorcery, so we kind of want to bounce it to the hand, don't we? Let's get rid of the Lear. They can't do Lear and all sorts of other stuff anyway. Optic.
The fabric
and swing in. So we can flicker the Glint Nest Crane again. Potentially getting another... Okay, so we missed that time. Now, if they go for Lear again, they've spent their whole turn getting Lear out, so... will waste their whole turn doing that, basically. They'll have access to a 2-mana spell, or maybe Retrieval and Fading Hope. But again, we can literally do exactly what we want. Labyrinth of Scophos is quite nice. I guess we can go for the Dream Eater first, seeing as they can't counter it anyway. If they do bounce Thassa to our hand, it's fine. I can just recast her, and EOT will still get the reflicker with the Dream Eater, if possible. So we'll see what they do in response here. I actually don't know if Lear is a good card in a deck which has counterspells. Okay. Oh, some fantastic cards on top here. Yeah, we'll keep the Scholar on top because that's just super powerful. And then we'll bounce Lear to the hand. So this means their bounce spells are now offline. We can up tier. There we go. And then swing in. Let's go for Thassa again. Let's try and resolve her. And then end of turn, we can flicker the Dream Eater. So the synergy here, as you can see, is pretty crazy. Get rid of any lands. Keep the Maze Mind Tome, that's pretty decent. And then we can bounce the Cold Steel Heart, so that will slow them down slightly. So they're going to need a mass bounce spell if they want to come back from this game. Not really sure what else would really do. I mean, an Omniscience, if they could resolve that. I doubt they can, though. 4, 5, 6. Apologies if you can hear my boy crying. I think he is teething at the moment, so his top teeth are coming in. And there we go. The victory is attained. So we go first against an Ineos, the Gale Force deck. So they'll probably be looking to steal our creatures and permanents, which is quite freaky. And our starting hand is not too bad, but we are going to probably rely on Search for a Scanter quite a bit. But yeah, let's start with the Fairies here to scry 2. Hopefully hit some lands here. You'll put Flood of Tears to the back and keep the Blast Zone. So yeah, Ineos is a Azorius general. Attacking creatures flying at +1/+1, so that's really powerful in itself. We'll have 3 more creatures you control flying attack. Each player gains control of a non-permanent of your choice, controlled by the player to the right. So it's like a switcheroo general, basically. Able to keep swapping permanents round and round and round. So we're going to have to hopefully find a way to get rid of all their flyers before they can steal our stuff. So this is going to be a fairly nice turn in that we can scry one with the Silver Raven if it comes in. Whelming Wave. I think that's actually a decent card. Because if they get loads of flyers out, we can just bounce it to the hand. Especially if they go for like a token strategy. So they're going to block with a 1-2 flyer, lo and behold. That's quite annoying. I did want to keep that around a bit, but at least we're going to get Augur of Bolas here. And keep the Whelming Wave to hand. So what could they do? I really want them to tap out here. Yeah, I don't really want that land. I'd rather pump up the search for a Scanter. So we could... Yeah, we'll try and go for a Thassa here. They probably have a counter spell, which is inevitable at this point in this format. Memory Lapse. We'll put it into our library just so we can cast it again in the following turn. And then it will pass. So they're just going to keep countering our stuff. It's going to be quite annoying. So I guess we are bitten a little bit for not keeping that land, but we'll see if we can resolve her again. Sure, actual counterspell. So yeah, we'll take it to the command zone. Yes, a real shame. Just the format is just loads of people with counterspells now. So it can be quite irritating. I mean, I've played this game, well, I've played Magic for over, I think, 10-11 years, and I've never seen so many counter spell decks. I used to play Standard back in the day, and even then, like, the most annoying GP I went to when I used to play competitively, it was back when Tarkir was huge, and even that was just Siege Rhino decks, basically. And that was a competitive format, with things on the line, like actual money on the line. So the fact that people are being tryhards in this kind of format, just quite upsetting, really. So once again, they're not going to do anything, so I guess we'll just pass the turn here. Keep living up their blue mana. Like, to think this isn't even ranked ladder. I think it certainly takes a certain kind of person that wants to just counter everything, kind of like a control freak, isn't it? Like, at least let stuff resolve sometimes. You don't even have to counter everything, but some people just want to watch the world burn. I guess we'll put some counters on Blast Zone here. If I put... So let's put one counter on it. So that would kill the Fairy Vandal and the Omen of the Sea eventually. Frogify is pretty good against their general, so we'll keep that. And let's see how they react to me trying to steal their Fairy Vandal. Fading Hope. So they're going to return it to their hand. Wow, they really value that, don't they? They're probably going to regret that later on. Especially when they can't even flash it back in right now. Well, it's good for us. It means that they've got one fewer creature to trigger their Inias. So here comes Fairy Vandal at flash speed in their own turn. Interesting. So let's see if we can resolve a Tome Raider here. Okay, so we get to draw a card. And Blink of an Eye is pretty nice, so yeah, we'll just pass the turn. Blink of an Eye could be really useful to save one of our creatures. Rattle Chains, okay. So they had a way to protect their Fairy Vandal. Interesting that they chose to just get that out there. Looks like they're also struggling for mana, but they'll do anything in their power to leave counter magic up just so they can annoy the other player, aka me. Our Whelming Wave is going to be nice eventually because it can return all creatures to their own hands, except for Krakens, Leviathans, Octopuses and Serpents. So I doubt we'll be facing many of those. Curious Obsession. Okay. So that hits us. They're going to get to draw a card. So tempted to try and return it to the hand here. How much do they really value all those small creatures? Well, they really don't want me to resolve anything, do they? Okay. So I guess we'll double block that and see if this block goes off. Swords to Plowshares. Oh my goodness. How many cards from Mystical Archives have I just faced? That's 5 cards from Mystical Archives in the top 10 of cards of their deck. Pretty crazy. Brazen Borrower. Yeah, that's pretty good. We'll keep that on top. So to stop them having any counter spells, let's try and return the Rattle Chains now. Are they really going to have another counter spell? Okay. And yeah, we might as well swing in due to the fact we can't block the Fairy Vandal anyway. If they attack, which they probably are, very tempted to flash out the Brazen Borrower just to block it here. Well, I guess we'll do it either way. Have they just built like a flash deck here? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we've seen 7 instances. Well, jokes on the opponent, because if they did that earlier on, they wouldn't have had to even encounter my Brazen Borrower. But there you go. So do they have another counter spell here? Let's see. Wow, we actually managed to resolve something. So there's no point attacking. It's pretty crazy, isn't it? Like how many try-hard spells you can really want to put in. So we get Seagate Restoration, pretty awesome. So luckily Inias doesn't have Flash. Rattle Chains does. Right, so they do have Nimble Obstructionist, however. Okay. Well, that's interesting. They know I've got Whelming Wave in my hand. So, I don't really know what to think there. They did see that. And I guess let's go for the Clone Crafter here. There's a new card from Alchemy. ETB, I get a copy of a random creature from your opponent's library. And yeah, so that's just a prime example of someone, a seriously bad loser. Like, the whole game they were trying to stop me, and yeah, I don't know. Strange. Some opponents are just really strange. Okay, so opponent goes first with Vadrik, which I've been told by someone I know it's very combo-y. But personally, I've never actually seen a fully powered Vadrik deck, so maybe I've just been incredibly lucky. I don't like this hand. I want more mana. Okay, apparently I'm not allowed more mana. So let's see how this goes, I guess. There's always a lot of factors when playing this game. Like, for some reason, I always go second, or a lot of the time. I never get 3 lands or more, and the opponent always gets exactly what they need, so who knows. I've played enough games now where it's gone from anecdotal evidence to kind of just like reality. Okay, so here comes Vadric. Yeah, every time I've faced him before, it's not really bothered me that much. But, you know, since we're here, let's bounce it back to the hand. That artwork is so squished. It's terrible. I don't know who did the artwork for the PNG, the small version of that, but yeah, they probably need to fix that eventually to look silly. It's okay in the hand, as you can see. So they're probably aware of that. If they go for Vadric again, I can just go for Thassa, either had the 4th land, and just keep bouncing it back to the hand every turn. So that's probably why they're hesitant at casting the Vadric. But here we go anyway. They could have a shock, so lo and behold, we do not hit our land. But if we can resolve a Depth of Desire here, we could create a treasure, so next turn hopefully we can go for Thassa. So I think blue has the fewest ways of generating treasure, but I did find a few. And it's always good to have some extra treasures on hand, just from effects that are generally going to use anyway. So this is basically unsummon plus treasure creation, which is quite nice. And obviously bouncing isn't as good as destroying, but being mono blue, our options are fairly limited, especially when we're not going for the counter. Here comes a Leer. See if we can resolve a Thassa. And yeah, we'll bounce that back to the hand. So we're probably annoying the hell out of our opponent, but you know, people do it to us, so why not? Do they have a way to get rid of Thassa? Surprised I don't have any removal. Not even a shock or anything. Bounce. I mean, that would end their pain. We're going to go for the Horn of Bounty. So they can discard a card to exile the top 2 cards of your library. You can play this turn. What can we do to annoy our opponent now, I guess? I suppose we can just leave a mana up. We don't have any way to utilise Thassa's ETB. We don't have any creatures with just general value, so we're just going to have to pass. And yeah, we won't bother flickering Exclusion Mage here. So it is night time. We've got the Chemist's Insight to draw 2 cards, and we've even got the Mystic Subdual as well, which could be cool. Here we go, the squished art. Looks really weird. Insult. Damage can't be prevented. If a source you control will deal damage this turn, it said deal double damage. So let's try to subdue all the Vadric. So we've got no abilities. Right. So something this turn is dealing double damage to us. Okay. I take it this is part of an infinite combo or something. Very suspicious indeed. Okay, so draw 2 cards. 3/2 Golem is a really good hit. Land would be nice though. 2 mana open, let's see what they can do. It doesn't have any abilities, does it? Abilities removed. So it's a -1 to vanilla. Is it safe? I don't know. Let's go for Maze Mind Tome. Fairy Seer. So now I don't want to bounce it with Exclusion Mage because it's kind of useless on the battlefield here. Land is exactly what we need. Am I dead? I'm quite scared now. I'm not sure what their synergy combo is. And I could attack, but I'm not going to. Because I don't want them to get Vadric back. So we do need a land on top. Scry 2 is really powerful for a 1-drop as well. Okay. What? I'm really confused. What happened there? What did they just do? So they cast that back from the graveyard. And then, I wish when the game ended you could see what was in their hand. I guess there was some crazy synergy in their hand, but who knows? Again, Vadric is a mystery to me. People tell me he's really insanely powerful, but honestly, every time I've faced him so far, I've never seen any infinite combos. But yeah, I'm sure I'll face it one day and I'll be crying tears of pain. But until that point, let's move on. So we go first against a Bruvac, their Grandiloquent deck. So they're going to be, hopefully, a conventional mono-blue mill deck. This is a fantastic starting hand. The Leyline makes all of our cards have flash, so that's going to be useful. Bruvac basically says whenever we get milled twice that many, so pretty scary card. We are in 100 card format, so it's going to take them a bit longer than usual, but if they're using the those creatures that you can play any of in the deck, then we're looking it's looking a bit scary. Fibblethip's going to be nice with Thassa. So yeah, it's a Persistent Petitioner's deck. And yeah, I'm going to pass a turn so they can pay 1 and tap, target player mills a card, tap 4 to make someone mill 12, and a deck can have any number of these cards. So yeah, so before that resolves, let's go for the Frostlink's instant speed. That's going to be really helpful here. So we tap that before they get the mana for it. It would be nice to get a land here, actually. So let's go for the Fibblethip. And we do get a land, which is good. And then we can swing for 2. So tapping, we can tap these down permanently with the Frostlink. So let's just hope we can get Thassa out to keep them at bay. So we need to start getting rid of the Petitioners now, because they're almost at the ability where they can tap 4 to make us mill 12. Loses all abilities and has base power and toughness 1, so that still won't get rid of the name, unfortunately. Okay, so the thing is, if one's already tapped and they can't tap it, so what can we do? I guess we go for Thassa. We might be taking a fair amount of damage here. Well, not damage, it's mill, but we'll retap this guy. So they could go blimey, having a bit of stutter today. Persistent Petitioners plus Bruvac is milling us for 24. So luckily, so they can do this now because Bruvac's out. But first thing I want to do is attack with Thassa. Now we can do a few tricky things, but first I want to hit a land, so let's hope we get one of the chemists inside here. Okay, so we don't, so that's pretty bad. So we are going to take a bit of a beating with the old millage. So they can just do this in response, unfortunately, but that's just the way it is. Apologies if I sound a bit disjointed. It's just a bit late, and I just wanted to do this video because I've really enjoyed using Thassa. Not sure why they're holding priority. They know what they're going to do. Oh, they're going to mill individually. Okay. Why didn't they just tap 4 advisors there? They had 4 advisors. Strange. So the good thing is we could turn Bruvac into just a nothingness, like a Casimida's transmutation, so that would mean we don't get milled double. But I'm going to wait for them to use the ability first. 5, 6, so we'll run off going for the double meteor golem here. So let's just pass the turn. Let's draw a card this time with Fibblethorpe. Now, I'm going to respond to them using the Bruvak's, well, the Advisor's ability. Okay, so hit the land, which is decent for next turn. So I don't know why they're going for individual mills here rather than a group mill. Tap 4, so yeah, in response to that, we're going to make Bruvak have no abilities. And this means we'll just be milling the regular amount. And yeah, that's fine. So yeah, we just milled 12 there instead. I mean, it's still a lot. But there you go. They're at 11, so if we can force them to tap out in their turn, then we're actually pretty close to lethal here. We've still got 67 cards. Bruvak is kind of useless. We can tap him down with the Thassa. So let's use Depth of Desire to bounce the persistent petition to the hand. So that means that they want to tap, they're going to have to do it now. And I mean, they could wait. Now, if the midnight clock goes off, this is pretty bad as well, because they're going to get a full grip of 7. And then they can basically mill us for like 24. Okay. So we're at 55, so you have to be really careful here. Six, 7. So they're going to get 7 cards in their next turn. So are we dead? Don't think so just yet. They do cost 2 to cast each, don't they? So let's go for the golem now, because we're never going to do it anyway. We'll kill this petitioners. They'll mill us. So yeah, they're going to be able to get 7 cards, I get it. I don't really know why they had to do this now, it's like weird flex, but fair enough. There was literally no benefit to doing that there. And now he's swinging for everything. If they block with the Bruvak, that's fine. They're going to have to spend 5 mana to recast it anyway. Okay, now we can flicker the golem to kill another petitioners. Now I'm not sure if they can kill us in the next turn or not, but it's going to be tough for them. Let's pass to them and see what happens. Surprisingly scary for a deck that contains all of the same creatures. I guess it's the same for like the Relentless Rats deck and the other Rats deck. So they've got 7 mana. Maximum they can do is Bruvak and 1 Advisor. And that still wouldn't be enough to kill us. We can Ugin in our turn. Ugin to finish off the Bruvak would be pretty good. And then we get an extra re-trigger with the Golem coming in EOT. So, another Petitioners. Building this in Command is actually really hard because the irony is they're commons, But the fact that people like building this deck means that they're actually really hard to get, because most people want about 30 to 40 of these in each deck. So one of these could cost something like £1 or $1. So imagine trying to make a budget deck. It's actually more expensive than you think. Glasspool Mimic is a weird addition, considering you can just pay 2 mana for Petitioners. So they've got quite a defense here. It doesn't really help tapping anything down. If we attack, they're gonna block. 6, 7. So let's go for the attack here. If they triple block the Meteor Golem, then so be it. So they'd rather take 6 from Thassa. Okay, interesting. So they'll be at 2. Unfortunately, we don't have a way to deal 2. Making us mill 12. Okay, so we're at 40. Sure. So at 39. So what's the best thing to do here? We could go for Consuming Tide to bounce everything back to our hands, and we get to keep one thing. Could that be good? 5, 6, 7. So that means they're going to go for the Bruvac and one other thing. So let's do that, I think. Go for this. And that still leaves us with 4 mana. And I'm going to keep the Thassa. They get to keep one thing. Sweet. And we've got 4 mana open. So yeah, we can go for the Frostlinks to tap down the Petitioners. So bear in mind that Frostlinks is actually lethal here. So in their turn, they've got how much mana? So they're just going to go for the Petitioners again, okay? Or are they also going to go for Bruvac here? So they're going to go for 5 Petitioners, which is just ludicrous. Or they're going to leave some mana up. Are these just lambs? That's crazy. So they can't activate any of those abilities because they've all got Summoning Sickness. They've got 2 blockers. Let's go for Ugin. Do they have counters? Wow, they're playing counters. So we're at 34. That is a very interesting deck. Okay. So I didn't expect that, to be honest. So EOT, we can flicker our Frostlinks. I guess that'll have to do. So we could be dead, but we'll see. We have the bounce spell for the Bruvac, so if they choose to go for the Mega Mill, then we can do this in response. But remember, timing is everything, so they're going to go for an extra Petitioners. 7 mana open. So here comes Bruvac. So we don't do this until they activate the ability, otherwise they'll do it in response and mill us for 24. Okay, so we have to be careful. We have to leave up 2 mana. It's annoying that we don't have any way to really push through here. I guess, you know, it's too risky to not get any backup. I need some other kind of cards here to back us up. Resculpt is nice. Yeah, we'll draw the land and then we'll get the Resculpt as well. So do they do it before our turn begins? Or are they scared of the blue mana here? Okay, awesome. So... hopefully we can survive this. It's going to be close. 1, 2, 3. So yeah, we'll go for the ley line. This will turn on the Thassa. And we also have access to both of our removal spells. So this is the whole patience element here. We can't they're blocking with Brewvac. Interesting. That's a very smart block actually, because it means that we're going to waste our kill spell on it. But it's going to die anyway. So, how much mana do we have? 5, 6. So yeah, I'm going to exile it. So we do get null for 12 here. So we get under 20. They have got a ridiculous amount of luck this game. So, Flicker the Frostlinks. Our life total doesn't really matter. So just tap that guy down and pass to them. So here comes Brewvac. So once again we have to respond to the activation. So they do have lethal on board because we have 20 cards. If they do it now, they might die because this does involve tapping 4 of their petitioners. If they have a counterspell, then we're just dead. So they can obviously recast the Brewvac here because it just goes to hand. And we are at 7, so we have to kill them in our turn. So we need to get rid of 2 blockers essentially. And can we do this? So hopefully we can just tap them down with Thassa. And then try and swing in. Goodness me, that was a really tough game, yeah. So just go to show, don't always kill the Brewvac when you can. Do it in response to the ability, or you would have been dead a lot faster. Damn. If you enjoyed watching this video, why not try some of my other videos on my channel? And don't forget to support me by hitting the like and subscribe button for more content like this.